Hello, welcome back to this bedroom. It's January 2019 and I've been doing a bit of thinking recently. As you know, I have made a lot of Lego trains over the last year, and aside from running them on layouts at exhibitions, I personally have nothing really to run them on at home or to take to exhibitions by myself. So this year I'm embarking on my biggest Lego project yet. It's a bit like a New Year's resolution, except it's probably more destructive than it is helpful. This is not going to be a Lego city layout. I am not making a gigantic 3-table, 5-table sized layout that I will run in a continuous loop. What I'm aiming for is something that is not too big, but is something that will look nice for my trains to run on, and will also work as a bit of a model railway, if you will. So I may look like I'm in the middle of nowhere at the moment, quite literally. Hello, go. But I'm actually on my way to the lovely, brilliantly named town of Pratt's Bottom. And no, I'm not making that up. I checked out this wonderful website that allows you to check loads of different model railway exhibitions and where they are. And this one was the easiest to get to and the nearest, and worked for me in terms of date. There's a model railway exhibition at the town hall, and I'm just about to check it out now. I'm not going to do much talking. I think I'm going to leave the exhibits to speak for themselves, but I'll talk about them afterwards, and hopefully we'll have some nice ideas. Right, so I'm back home now. Made myself a cup of tea, and now I've taken some notes on some of the stuff that I saw at the show. First off, it was a fantastic show. It wasn't that big, it was in quite a small village hall, but there were still some fantastic layouts there. A couple of standouts for me would be Theobald's yard, which was that large industrial layout that had narrow gauge plus a little standard gauge loco on it as well. That was the biggest layout that was there, and it was the one that definitely drew the eye. It took about 6 people to operate that. Obviously that's something that I could never hope to achieve on my own, as much as I do enjoy collaborating with people like the LNUR for group displays. This project I'm working on is for the times when I won't be able to display with them because I'm living in other parts of the country or so on. On the opposite side of the size scale, you had Oaklands, which was this wonderful double-looped N-gauge layout, which only just fit, a small table. Fantastic amount of attention to detail in a small space, and it certainly set the bar really high to do that. And that was also enforced by the layout in the piano case, or I think it was a gun case. You had this whole townscape with a canal and a high street all packed into just such a tiny space, and yet it looked fantastic. And obviously, while I can't achieve something like that with Lego, I can still very much admire and appreciate it. I think my favourite layout was Ambleton Vale. It was a very long, very thin layout, but it just had so much character to it. And it modelled this wonderful branch line countryside in sort of Great Western Region BR days. And I just loved the race course and the little mechanics shed, and just all these little things that draw your eye and make the scene just as important as the trains that go through it. And that would be something that I'd very, very much like to achieve with whatever I end up doing. One of the things that Ambleton Vale does, which is quite a common thing that you find that exhibition layouts do, is that you have a box with your scenic section in, and then your trains enter and exit through a tunnel or just an obscured piece of cutting. And it kind of works a bit like a piece of theatre. Your actors come on, they say their lines, they leave. But the reason I quite like to use that idea is that I could then work on a much smaller scenic area, meaning that I don't have to spend so much money, and still have a return loop. Just cover that up with some cardboard with, I don't know, some information or something fun on it to keep people interested. That way I have this section which is often referred to as the fiddle yard, where the trains come around, you can put a new engine on or rearrange the train and then send it back through, and it will give the impression of different trains running through the same area. I think lighting is something I could probably achieve with Lego, although I wouldn't want to do something too expensive like those lighting kits that you can get. It would probably just be LEDs or a string of fairy lights threaded through the set. And as for signals and points, I don't think I'd want to do anything motorised, but I'm sure that if I kept it simple, I could do something mechanic or, a simple lever function or something I can push from behind the set so I wouldn't have to reach over and change the direction of the track. So those are some things I've noted down. I'm going to take them away, start thinking up a track plan and a backstory for this railway that I want to do, and a set, basically. And I'll get back to you when I've made some progress. Day 3. Still wearing the same jumper. I've been giving the layout a bit of thought, and I must admit to some premeditation on what I was going to do before I even started the video, but if anything, the Model Railway Show has helped to reinforce some things I'd already thought of, and also to give me some new ideas. So, for now, I'm going to focus on 3 large base plates, it's about the length of a small train, certainly long enough to showcase the builds. The track plan will be very simple, simply a single straight heading straight through from one end to the other. There will also be a siding that will leave right at the beginning here and finish 2/3 of the way through. The reason I've decided to go quite simple is I've seen a few layouts where the best thing about it is seeing the trains move through the scenery. Now obviously this is a very small layout, but I would like at least an element of that the trains will look at their best as part of a scene, so I want to leave a bit of space for that. The scene itself will be, as you probably will have guessed, a train station in the 2nd and 3rd base plates. The platform will start around the 2nd. In order to help with the curve at the end here,
The other platform will start a little further back, but that's fine. Now, I've actually drawn the track going all the way back here, but in fact, it's going to be cut off by a tunnel. That provides the scenic break almost. And then along the edge in an L shape, there will be a retaining wall on which there will be a street. So that's where the main scenic section will be, and I believe what I'm going to do is a townscape, and what I mean by that is to build a row of shops along the back here, so the front of the building will effectively back onto the back scene, and it will also act as the scenic break. And you can then fill this street with loads of pedestrians, trees, cafes, shops, all kinds of stuff that will make it look like a tourist town. So the trains come in, bring customers and travellers who are then served by the shops and tea rooms and so on, which is actually something you find quite commonly in places like Bridgnorth, Tunbridge Wells and Swanage. The station building will kind of be built into the back of the retaining wall there, but you'll have a canopy extend which will provide shelter for all the passengers. So there actually won't be a big station building. I think a nice idea is that there used to be one, but then it got demolished when Beeching closed the line. And then once it got bought up, they built a new one to serve the customers. So that is roughly the gist of it. There is one more thing to add, of course, which is a signal box in that corner there. One last thing is that obviously as soon as you enter the layout, you have these points. There will, of course, be the chance to expand this way and maybe even complete the L shape by closing it off at the other end as well and having a tunnel that way. We'll see. So that's basically the plan. It's not going to be the most imposing layout, but it will be, hopefully, visually interesting and charming. Now, I could end the video there because that is essentially the planning stage done, but I would find it a bit odd if I did a video about Lego and not have a single piece of Lego show its face during the creation of it. So what I'm going to do is visualise it by building it in 1/4 of the scale for you, and then I'll have something to show for the end of the video. Not too bad, I hope. And as I mentioned before, room for expansion. So that's about all for this video. Next time I should be starting to lay the track and have a station established. So if you like the look of this project and you want to support it, there's a link to my Patreon page in the description and at the end of the video. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Unfortunately, I'm going to need all these dark tan pieces, so I'm going to have to start taking it apart now. Oh well, it was fun while it lasted.